Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. So a couple weeks ago I put out a guide for the Carina's Challengers Carina Challenge, and in it I talked about how I took the Abyss Luke Cage fight with my trusty R5 Mole Man here. Now I didn't have any footage of that fight recorded, so I ended up just having to kind of describe my strategy, but several people have requested a more in-depth guide on how to use Mole Man to take this fight. And so here we are. So a couple things I want to go through today. The first is Mastery setup. Your Mastery setup is really the most important part of you being able to take this fight with Mole Man. Okay, so the most important mastery that you need to have unlocked and available to you is this one here, which is Stand Your Ground. If you are playing in, mid to high tier war, there's a good chance you probably already have this unlocked and are using it day to day. So for this fight, you need at least 3 points in Stand Your Ground. Anything less than 3 is not going to give you the guaranteed chance that you need, which I will describe in a moment. Anything more is fine, but you need to have a minimum of 3. And the reason you need 3 is because of how the Stand Your Ground Mastery interacts with one of Mole Man's base abilities here. So right down here, when he's frenzied, Mole Man gains a 75% chance to resist a block break when at least one monster mass is active. So adding points into the Stand Your Ground Mastery increases this chance, and the important thing that it doesn't really say here is that this chance is additive. So the 25% chance that you gain from 3 points in Stand Your Ground adds on to the 75% chance from his natural abilities, and Gus gives you a 100% guaranteed chance to resist a block break. So this is how you're going to get your easy intercepts against Luke Cage, because when he's unstoppable, he also goes unblockable. And I'll show you exactly how that's going to work in a couple minutes here. As far as other masteries go, you should definitely consider running Suicide Masteries, because Mole Man will shrug off the debuffs right at the start of the fight, and that's going to massively increase his damage, of course. Also, you should probably max out Cruelty, since, while Frenzied Mole Man has guaranteed crits, you don't really need to worry about the Precision Mastery, but any increase to his critical damage is going to be very helpful to you. So similarly, Mole Man kind of gets stronger as the fight goes on and as his health gets lowered. So if you want to max out Courage as well to give you even more attack when you're below 50%, that's also pretty smart. Other than that, though, there's nothing really that required. I have Willpower on, but you don't really need it for this fight. My Proficiency Mastery setup is pretty basic. So, but yeah, Stand Your Ground, Suicide's recommended for this fight, and max out your Cruelty. So let's take a look at the fight footage. Alright guys, so at the start of the fight here, I'm going to dump my monster mass from Suicides. This will let me build it up again while keeping true accuracy up. From here, parry heavy, build up to 8 here, let him tap into my block to trigger Frenzy, and then again, just stick to parry heavy, normal Mole Man playstyle. Just keep your Frenzy active, your monster mass up. When he's about to go unstoppable and unblockable, you want to back off and hold block here. When he taps in your block, immediately go in for medium. This will count as an intercept, and your block will not be broken, of course, because of Stand Your Ground, and that'll remove his unstoppable and unblockable. And from here, it's just rinse and repeat. Now, I mentioned earlier, you want to keep true accuracy up. The Mole Man's true accuracy will counter the Abyss Evade, so you want to do your best to kind of keep that active as well. As far as specials here, you can use the special one for some damage over time, but it's really low. It's much better, in my opinion, to use the special 2. There is a trick with the special 2. It does require the dupe, though. So when your block is struck while you're frenzied, you get an unstoppable buff. But if you launch the special 2 while that buff is active, it's actually going to pause it and give you a massive attack increase. So you'll see that here in just a second. As soon as I counter this unstoppable and unblockable again here, you can see I've paused the unstoppable, and I'm getting a much higher crit damage rating from that special 2 than I would normally. A couple other things that I want to note about this fight. I'm not going to let the whole thing play, because you kind of get the idea here. Don't worry too much about recoil in this fight, because again, your damage is going to increase big time the lower that Mole Man's health gets. In addition, your physical resistance is also going to increase as you lose health, so blocked hits are not going to really do that much to you. Expected revives for using this method, I think I used 7, and again, I'm using only a rank 5 5-star here for this fight. I was boosted. Marcus, I think, used a 6R3 for his run, and he said maximum 5 revives if you play well. So, your mileage is going to vary. Speaking of Marcus, shout out to him and also to B McG who kind of both clued me in onto using Mole Man for this fight. As you guys can see, it's really simple, it's really effective. If you don't have one of the better slow champs or aren't good with them, you know, people like She-Hulk or Shang-Chi, you know, this method is really gonna do you wonders. And for me, at least, on the path that I chose, Mole Man was really, really clutch for so many other fights, especially once you get to the end, you get to like Invisible Woman. He is so good for that fight too. So if you guys have any questions about this method, be sure to leave them in the comments below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. As always, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next time.